All right, what is up, guys? We're gonna go over a really good day I went ahead and did have here today. We're gonna go over the trade recaps, the names that I traded, my wins, my losses, and then I wanted to go ahead and just do a quick discussion on how I am performing in this market and why I'm doing so well, because I've come across quite a few traders that, they trade well, but they've been struggling in this market. And I think the reason why a lot of traders are struggling is like due to bias. So I'll go a little bit more into details on that. But straight out the gate, let's go into what I went ahead and traded here today. So the first thing I went ahead and traded immediately, straight out the gate, was SLV. I ended up shorting straight out the gate at 932 as soon as we kind of rejected VWAP right here. Let me go ahead and show the 932 candle. So this is 932. So as soon as this tail came in, and it actually wasn't this candle, it was this candle. So like right in the beginning of this candle, essentially, I had gotten in. So I got in like around this vicinity. I'm basically just risking kind of the 620s or maybe even green on the day. But I get in and I roll these contracts down all the way to the line in the sand right here. So from right here, essentially, all the way to the line in the sand. And then we ended up breaking down even further. I didn't expect this breakdown, which is exactly why I covered right into weakness here, because I thought that we were going to get a little bit more of a bounce once we hit this. Because if you look at the hourly, on silver, you'll see why this was the line in the sand. Look at this get wick. Like, look, wick here, rips up, comes back down, wick, wick, wick. You guys can see all of these wicks right here. So this was my line in the sand. And unfortunately, this ended up tanking quite a bit more than I actually expected, which kind of sucks because I could have made way more on my contracts that I did when I did go take. I took the 60s, by the way. I took the 60 puts, and I covered at 59.49, and that was basically the trade I took in silver. So it was a really nice trade. I was sized relatively well in it as well, so I started off the gate very good. Now, straight after, like literally almost right after that trade, I had noticed that Microsoft, comparative to the market, had very good relative strength. And I want to link that so I could show you guys the SPY versus Microsoft, so you guys can see the difference in terms of the strength in the morning that, Microsoft was showing. Like, look at this. This is straight out the gate. Look at that kind of dip. We never really dipped like that on Microsoft. It was just straight up an uptrend. So I got long, like right here on this candle, on the wick, basically the body of the candle right here. Let me zoom in closer. I got long right here. We ended up dipping, got a little bit of an add. As soon as we reclaimed the daily 20, which I think this line is the daily 20 and the daily 10 moving average, I ended up taking my profits on this candle right here. I ended up taking all my profits off. And of course, just like silver, I didn't catch the whole move. Like, who could have expected that we were going to... I thought, personally, that Microsoft was going to end up getting to, like, this 486-ish level. That's where I thought we were going to kind of, like, meet some middle ground. But this ended up just surging. So I didn't even take my trade all the way to target. When you get this type of strong move relative to the market, I was like, okay, let me just take this. The calls actually went up very nicely in such a short amount of time that I just took this off. Didn't want to deal with none of the bullshit. We're not even 10 o'clock in the morning yet. Not even 30 minutes into the trading day, and I already have two trades that I was sized on work in my favor. So to me, it just was a no-brainer. As soon as my P&L starts looking kind of a certain way, straight out the gate within the first 30 minutes, I like to just make sure that I'm very smart about my positions. So took that off. Of course, I do let partials work, so I did hold on to a bit of a partial, but it's nothing noticeable to talk about. Nothing crazy. After that, I went ahead and I believe I didn't trade anything else. Let me just look across the board. No, I didn't. So the thing that I went ahead and traded was PLTR. I actually had a nice PLTR short once we rolled out of this supply area. I shorted up in this candle, and I had my covers right here. I ended up taking profits on this flush out. So took all that out. Of course, it goes sub VWAP. Then I try to reshort right here on the reclaim to see if we're actually going to rotate down. It didn't work, so I stopped out. I wasn't as sized as I was right here. You know, because we look, we get this supply, we kind of get this double top, and then we just flush out, which is why I take this. It looked kind of like if you draw a line here, I'm going to explain why I took it. So if you just kind of like draw this line, you know, you have supply, it breaks on the supply, you get short, and then I rolled this wash out. Took that, really, really nice gain. Took a loss right here, so I got short again to see if this was going to be a lower high to this candle. Didn't go, it broke this right back. So stopped out, and then I got into PLTR actually, and I can't tell you guys what candle I had gotten into, because look how long we spent consolidating here. We spent quite a long time, and I'll go ahead and show you as well, because on a 5-minute chart, it kind of shows. I think we were up here for like 70-something minutes. I mean, it was quite some time we spent. We spent like, what, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65. Like 65 minutes, maybe even a longer if I might have skipped. I just, you know, kind of did that really quick. But I ended up shorting somewhere in this vicinity again with puts. And I ended up riding this all the way down to this line in the sand, right? So this is where I stopped out. And this is where I'm going to cover again because I don't know how it's going to react. So I always proactively covered. Of course, we get more of a ramp down. Kind of does a little double bottom. And then we kind of rip back up. But that was basically it. So I took 4 trades. Right, I had 1 on SLV. I had 1 on Microsoft. And then I had 3 on PLTR. So what is that, like 5 trades? I took 1 loser. And all in all, I had a good trading day. So everything I took aside from that rescale on PLTR was a good trade. But yeah, so that was all I did. That's my little trade recap. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys why I have been performing as well as I have. Because even, like, I haven't done a recap the last 2 days. But I'm going to be completely honest, guys. Like, the last 2 days were bangers as well. I just didn't do a trade recap on it. But the reason why I'm trading so well in this market is because I'm coming into every morning, like regardless of how you're charting supply and demand and whatever, like kind of how I do with Vincent DeSaio or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But Vincent, you know, he likes to draw these supply areas and I do the same. But the difference between how I'm performing and how he's performing is I don't, like if this really starts to fail, I need more of a confirmation on things. So like, let's say hypothetically I'm starting to see like this double top. I'm not shorting this double top yet. I'm actually waiting for the break of trend lines. You know, so I'm using like extra form of confirmations and real tape reading to determine when I'm getting into trades. For instance, Microsoft on the other hand, right, for longs, like this is clearly showing relative strength on the day versus the SPY. So now this is on my radar because versus SPY, it's looking relatively strong. It's also reclaiming very important moving averages, staying above VWAP. You're seeing soaking candles, right? You see these top wicks, right? You see these wicks right here, wick. But then we break out of those wicks and then, you know, these bottoming wicks now are confirming that this is going to hold. I'm really in the game trading based on confirmation at this point in trading because this market is choppy. Like if we look at the SPY macroeconomic wise, like let's look at the daily on this thing. Look how it's kind of moving. You know, dude, I thought that we were just gonna wash out. I thought we were gonna start seeing 2018 price action via Trump's first term. And look, I mean, right after this type of flush out day, breaking a trend line, like look at this trend line I have drawn. You know, I'm thinking, oh, we're probably going to get pops to this trend line and start to fail. But we're just immediately gapping up because of CPI. And now we're, you know, we basically go above today's high or yesterday's high. And then we flush out again. And it's like, this is a very complicated market we're moving in. It seems like we're very range bound. And I do perform very well in range bound markets. But you just, look. The goal is when you get into these trades, guys, especially in a market that we're currently trading in, you have to be proactive on everything, guys. When you get if you're in shorts, like say hypothetically you're in some shorts, like, actually I lied. I placed another trade too. I traded SPY. I shorted SPY off of the break here, and I covered in this washout right here. Of course, I didn't know this was exactly going to happen. Like this flushed out even more, but I had covered right into the daily 20 and VWAP moving average. But that's just a whole other trade. I forgot I took that trade. I just realized after looking at SPY, I did take a SPY trade. It was nothing big though. I mean, I took some good size. My calls were 0 DTEs and I got in the money really quick. But I didn't ride this whole move out. I actually only caught a good little chunk. I think it might have been a little bit further too, but majority of my position was probably covered in this area. But what I've been doing very well, guys, is, while I could have possibly have caught in this whole move, what's keeping me safe in this current market condition, honestly, is just covering early. Like, if I'm shorting and I'm getting a big washout in my favor and I'm noticing that I'm getting a really nice P&L going, I'm just instantly covering and I'm letting my partials work. Like, that's just what I'm doing. And then when they stop working, I cut them. So, and it works for the contrary. So let's say if hypothetically I'm going to long something, I'm not going to take this full move, guys. I might like long something here and I'm covering up here. Might be covering a bit up here, right? Because this is pre-market highs. Like, anywhere I feel like there's a sense of resistance, I'm covering. So I'm essentially, guys, I'm scalping in this market. I'm not holding moves too long, and I'm also not letting moves go against me for too long. And that's why I'm trading well currently. I'm also not putting myself in a position where I'm oversized to the point where if I'm wrong on the position, right? I'm not oversizing to a position where if I'm wrong, it's going to take 4, 5, 6 trades in order for me to get my P&L back. I might lose 0.5 R, 0.3 R, maybe even 1 R. I might lose that, but the very next trade, it keeps, I'm not getting stuck in a position where I have to accept a red day. If I take a red trade, it's just a red trade. It's not going to be a red day. And that is what's keeping me capable of trading throughout this current market structure that we're in, where I'm seeing a lot of people have difficulties trading. And like I said, the reason why I'm trading well is because I'm scalping moves. There's a time to be a scalper. There's a time to have really long bias trades or short bias trades where you really let the trades work. But in this current market, man, I'm not in the game to try to let these trades work, because you try to let this thing work, and then out of nowhere it catches a bid and you're getting V-shaped on. And it's right back to your average, if you get stubborn. So I'm not interested in that, guys. You got to be proactive in this market. You got to come in also with zero bias. Like, I don't care if you think, oh my God, this is holding the 50 daily moving average. Dude, they could play games all day long around this daily 20 and this daily 50 moving average that we're kind of trading within. They can keep playing games over and over and over again. So the main thing that I want to just go ahead and inform you guys, if you guys are not performing well in this market, it might just be because you're holding on to winners too long, you're holding on to losers too long, and you're not scalping. Like, this is honestly like see profit, take profit type of market. And then once the tape starts really showing that it's going to stay heavy or that it's going to hold a bid, you can always re-enter that trade and keep riding that wave. Until we get one-sided directions, I'm just not a fan of overstaying my welcome and risking, real easy gains. And that's just my thoughts about it. Please stay safe in this market, because, we really are in a position right now where it's like, all right, well, everyone's thinking we're going to get a Santa Claus rally. Well, when is that going to happen? Because currently it's not looking like that. So, it's just, it's not an easy market, guys. This is currently not an easy market to trade in. But if you focus on just taking one trade at a time, sizing appropriately, taking your profits, and then rescaling on washouts or on swipe ups, it really helps out. Just focusing on the next part of the trade, right? Just focus on taking your flush, taking your profits, and letting it work. And with partials instead of being full size, you got to make sure you're taking profits into washouts or into any move that has an exorbitant like bid or sell. You just gotta be mindful of they're playing games within ranges. So just take what you can, man. This is the market where you take what you can and give nothing back. That's what you gotta. That's my model right now. It's a Pirates of the Caribbean model. But you got to do what you got to do in this market. And overstaying your welcome is a lot of people's issues currently. Seeing it all over the board, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's Vincent, whether it's whoever the case may be. I'm seeing legitimate problems with traders and they're just overstaying on trades that they shouldn't be overstaying in. And that just is what happens, right? So gotta go through the ebbs and flows of this market. Currently, I'm trading very well. Throughout the whole week, I've been trading well. Knock on wood. that I keep trading this well, but you know, any singular day can be a red day for me. And you know, if I get caught on the wrong side and I'm not staying to what I know, you know. So that's just all I had to say, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please stay safe in this market. We are getting some really big ranges, some really nice moves, but you got to be covering, or you got to be selling into those moves. And those are just my thoughts on the overall market. Trade what's in front of you. Don't come in with no bias, and just let the charts work for, like, post 10 o'clock, guys, is when I'm really, really dialed in, because that's when trends usually form. So, but you know, just is what it is, man. I'm doing really well trading, and I hope you guys end up finding some sort of value out of this video. And if there is any questions, like always, please feel free to ask. I'll be more than happy to share some experience. Maybe I'll make a video on any questions you guys might have. And that's essentially all I have to tell you guys. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out.